Hello everyone, it's Fluffy, and I'm back with another video. I'm about to go back to college, so the videos will be probably suspended until the summer, but I'll still have a few games left before I go. So let's start with this one. I stream sniped Sidewinder in live queue, and he picked Andy because someone requested that he pick Andy, so he has to pick it. And as much as I would like to also go Andy or even Drake, I was on a Sonya only run, so I'm picking Sonya, which with Andy's healing abilities and Sonya's bad luck, it's not exactly the best situation for me, but I do what I can. Now, I have been talking in his stream about how I like winning the air war, playing by my airport, and spamming copters to defeat tanks. But he wouldn't know if I follow my strategy anyway. So I decided I'm going to follow my strategy exactly as I've been typing it in his chat. So we both go for our turn 1 captures. And I decide I want to take an infantry from my further base. The black boat will still take 2 turns to reach the airport. And the more centralized base has a lot more properties that it's responsible for, so I choose to pick up an infantry from my further base. My opponent went using this base instead and goes for an early tank. Well, it's not really an early tank, I suppose. It's just a normal day 4 player 2 tank. I go for a recon because I do want to scout this area out. I do plan to fight on this area because that's my airport side. And playing with my airport is something that is especially well against Andy because he doesn't know what an airport is. Andy builds a recon. You always need recons in fog. Don't try to fight without it. It's very risky. And I go with an artillery because... well, mostly because I like artillery. I tend to leave my tank in the open, well, seemingly in the open, but it's actually backed by artillery. That's how I typically do things. Basics. I move my recon up, scout some stuff. The Sonya vision, very nice. And I decide I wanted to load my infantry onto this black boat so I can unload it onto the mountain, which can then walk to this property. It is somewhat cannibalizing on this infantry's capture, but I can always send this one up further to this city. And then I start building tank. My artillery, because it moves slower, and because I built it from the further base, will reach this front line around the same time as my tank, which I find is very nice, because it's as if I pretty much got a free artillery in the area, assuming Sidewinder wants to fight me here. And while I did not know it, it looks like he does. My tanks have the movement to cover these 2 cities. I see a tank move on here. And which means it's time for copter spamming. If we're going to be fighting here, I want to bring my copters. Which is exactly the strategy I was talking to him about in his chat. I'm sure everything will be fine. He moves his recon, spots my recon and infantry. And He still hasn't gotten his airports, but he prioritized capturing these cities first. Which I guess makes sense. You want to capture these cities then run away. I do bring one recon over because, well, for vision, but also because, judging by the tanks on the left side, a recon harassment on the right side might be worthwhile. I start capturing the city anyway because I have a tank covering it. And I start battlecopter spamming. Now, Sidewinder did tell me that he should have built an anti-air on this turn, and that he was thinking it, but he built a tank instead. He could have afforded an anti-air, but he didn't, and that may or may not come back to bite him. Who knows? Depends on whether or not he chooses to attack here. That's the attack. There's the anti-air. And he does go in for the attack. He also attacks over here, which we can see the Sonya counterattack. Very painful. And I don't even have the comm tower yet. Now I do. Now normally, Sonya's bad luck will make it somewhat difficult for the tank to one-shot a recon. But the counterattack from the infantry does help slightly. And we also must consider that it's my Sonya. So, as we can clearly see, my Sonya gets it. I place my artillery right here, where if 2 tanks come in for a 2-hit KO, my artillery can fire at this location. Now, I did make a little bit of a mistake here. I should have protected my artillery a little more, and I'm not sure why I moved my infantry on the city. Can't remember, this game is a few days ago. But, I guess I didn't want him to sit on my property, but I should have been fine with that because I have 2 copters here. So this was one of the inaccuracies on my end. It's actually a pretty big mistake than just an inaccuracy. My recon gets a kill, he goes in for an interrupt again. And there's the 2 tanks, 1 tank. 2 tanks, gets the kill. That's a 33% chance of getting a kill with a comm tower. And also gets my artillery. I definitely should have blocked the tile with my infantry. If I had blocked the tile with my infantry, I could have double copter strike this tank and my artillery finish this tank. So that's a pretty bad move. But also on his side, he also made a mistake. He built his anti-air 1 turn too late. If he had built an anti-air over here 1 turn earlier, which he was considering but didn't do, this, my mistake kind of balanced out with his mistake, Either way, it is what it is. I take this shot, and because he's Andy, I don't want to let it live. So I take it out, and I trap this tank in here. I kill off this infantry. As much as I want to go in for more infantry shots, he's Andy, and I don't want to let Andy heal stuff. I just take what kills I can get. And this... I probably should have expected it would survive. My recon did that much damage. I should have expected it's at a high 1. I built a medium tank and I used the black boat to pick up an infantry from my rightmost base to bring it to the left side. If we're going to be fighting on the left, I may as well reinforce it with both bases. Knocks out my recon, and recon on recon violence. He successfully interrupts this capture with tank reinforcements on the way, and he uses hyper repair, I'm assuming to guarantee this kill, which I believe was guaranteed anyway. But he gets this kill. Either way, I'm pretty happy about it because Well, he used his normal power, which means his super isn't here anytime soon. I decide to go on attacking. Go in attack despite the tank, because I want to wipe out all the infantry, then maybe I can run away from this front. I kill off the tank, my Sonya infantry doesn't disappoint me, and I start shifting to the right just a little. Mostly because I want to deter I don't want, while I did wipe out the infantry, I don't want him wiping out my recon and my infantry. And I built a medium tank because I'm expecting anti-airs on the left side now. And I don't want my tanks fighting against his tanks because his tanks are Andy tanks, and we know how Andy tanks are. He built a Neo tank. And the Neo tanks are strong. If they survive, they can heal up for a lot of value. I begin capturing his cities, bringing my copter and my tank in, and hiding my anti-air in this corner just in case he has copters of his own. Oops. Okay. It's a little off-center, I'm gonna try to center it. Okay. I move my medium tank over to chase away the light tanks. Maybe I should have waited one more turn before going for this city for my medium tank to arrive. I start building more anti-airs because I am still expecting copters if I'm fighting on this side. And he goes in for an interrupt. That Sonya counterattack. It's so painful for him. I'm getting pain from watching his attack. And I now see two tanks here because my infantry on the mountain provides a lot of vision. I could go in for a copter strike, but it would not kill. And if I go in for a tank strike, two tanks could kill my tank. And I'm also not sure about any potential anti-airs hiding. So instead, I just capture what I can and then run away. I don't want to deal with those two tanks, especially since they're anti-tanks. If I try to go in and fight, he might just heal them up. And unfortunately, I could not kill this infantry off, but is he going to interrupt it again? He does. Another 5-6 trade because Sonya counterattack. I decide to finish this off. No Andy healing. No. I start capturing this because I now have my light tanks and my medium tanks in range to cover it. I'm also bringing a tank over from the right side to eventually support this front. I'm mostly going for this because I saw two tanks on this side. So I'm trusting he hasn't shifted them over just yet. And I have 5 copters now, but at this point he must have realized, because of my 2 copters earlier, that I am going with my usual Sonya copter swarm strategies. And with that, he has 4 anti-airs. My weakness, anti-air. I always say, and I say it all the time, people don't build enough anti-air. Not Sidewinder. Sidewinder is completely prepared with 4 anti-airs. Only outnumbered by Kantbai, who sent 5 anti-airs against me. He sends his Neo tank in to get this kill, and the reason why is he's expecting 3 copters to attack it at most, and he can just heal it up. But my medium tank is here. Now, any normal CO, 2 copters medium tank has about I think I remember it was around 70% chance of killing. And with a tank, it's a guaranteed kill. But I'm Sonya, which means I have 4 chances of bad luck failing. That would potentially fail the kill on a Neo tank against Andy. Andy is just such a bully against Sonya. I go for this comm tower just to be annoying and try to pull some attention from my attack. And I go in copter. I see 2 anti-airs. So that's not a good sign for me. 2 copters. The fact that the first copter only reduced it to a 9 is a bad sign of bad luck. But I'm already committed to this. The 2 copter hits give me enough charge for a super. So I'm going to use a Sonya counter break for that extra firepower, and maybe to deter his light tanks from striking my light tanks. My medium tank goes in, it reduces it to a 2. Now my tank could do anywhere from 6% to 20% damage, I believe. No, that's not right. I think it's 6 to 24%. You guys can check the calculator on your own. But I go in, and I get the kill. Now the reason why I went in despite the bad luck potentially screwing me over and causing me to lose the game right away is because I thought it would be funny. That's it. I see a Neo tank, he's probably proud of it, he's probably thinking it's gonna do what it can ruin my plans, and then if I just shut it down right away, I thought it would be very funny. That's all the justification you really need for anything, if I'm being honest. But I get the Neo tank, so I'm pretty happy. And another reason why I went for this Neo tank is also because I have been playing. This isn't the first time I fought Sidewinder. I have done very annoying moves against him in the past, and I thought if I can just mentally dominate with this attack, you know, Advance Wars, it's a game that you can't really play when you're tilted for any reason because you end up making bad moves. So if I do something like this, I'm hoping I can throw him off his game. His 2 anti-airs still knock out my copters. Recon and infantry kills my infantry capturing the comm tower, unfortunately. He goes for these shots, and that's when I realize he's going for his Andy super. He gets the tank kill. He sacks. He doesn't sack the recon. Oh, maybe he's saving a super for next turn. We did play this live, so that's what I was thinking. So now I'm thinking, how should I attack in this position? First, I decide to knock out the recon. Bad luck did not ruin my plans because I don't get bad luck. I kill off the tank so he can't heal from the super. I knock out the anti-air. I see 2 anti-airs in a copter now. Now my anti-airs now my copters feel very sad. Now against a normal player who only builds 1 or 2 anti-airs, my copters would go in and I would pretty much just win the game right now. But not Sidewinder, and especially not someone who would basically not anyone who's well prepared with anti-air. I always say you need to build more than 1 anti-air. And we see how sad it makes my copters. Even a Sonya counter break would not make them brave enough to charge in. Instead, I start sending them to the right because I am concerned my comm tower might be taken. I have left the area for quite a long time. So he starts going in. He takes these shots first so that he can heal up from them. He knows I have a lot of copters, so My copters can't knock out his anti-air, so he thought he may as well send the anti-air onto my anti-air. After all, without tanks, his anti-airs are uncontested. He surrounds my medium tank and sends in his copters. Fortunately, I built more than one anti-air. Like I said, you always need more than one anti-air. Well, not always. If they don't build any copters, you don't need anti-air. But don't just build one, otherwise you might have something like this happen. Fortunately, I have a second one, and I was able to free my medium tank. Both my infantries are 1 HP, but he doesn't have to know that. I strike this anti-air, and I kill it off. I interrupt this comm tower, and now I start dashing to the right side because I know he's going to try for this capture. I kill off the infantry on this side. I built a bomber, and while part of me did want a super to protect this area, I also do want to use my super for my bomber to strike an anti-air, pop the super, and then get away with my bomber attack. I also built another medium tank. I need more light tanks to be honest, but a tank from this side might... Oh, I also need infantry of course. But I wanted some medium tanks so I can start one-shotting anti-airs if possible, without losing my tanks to his tanks. He goes in, knocks out my copter, recon and infantry creates a very nice wall, and now I'm at risk of losing my comm tower. He continues attacking, knocking out my artillery successfully, finishes killing off this anti-air. Absolutely no fear because he knows my copters can't strike his anti-air. And trapped my medium tank once more. Here I use my counter break. And I try to get rid of this copter, but I just didn't get it, unfortunately. Either way, I don't think I would have saved this comm tower, but killing this copter would allow me to kill this infantry as well, and open the path to start taking this comm tower back. I send my anti-air to knock out that copter. Maybe it's not the best idea, considering I'm now down in unit counts, and it's not a good idea trading an anti-air for a copter. But yeah, built a second medium tank. Actually, it's my third medium tank. But my first one's about to go down. Knocks out my anti-air. And he could just strike my medium tank at this point. But he probably does not know the HP. He could guess from how much damage I did to the anti-air. But maybe it probably is worth it because he is getting his super soon. I finish off the copter, no anti-healing. And my infantry movement here revealed 2 more copters, which means I should not send my copters in because his copters will just kill my copters because Andy is a bully. Bullies Sonya all the time. But no comm tower Sonya. Very, very difficult because Sonya's bad luck makes it very, very unreliable to kill. Especially you don't want that unreliability against Andy. Andy finishes off my infantry in this area. So at this point I pretty much lost. He can just sit still and wait. Andy scales with units way more than Sonya. But it's not over until it's over. And you never know when someone makes a blunder. So I decide to I leave some infantry to maybe kill whatever infantry is capturing my properties. But honestly, I'm going back to my old strategy of relying on my airport. I have to rely on my airport at this point because my tanks cannot take on Andy tanks. Especially being 2 comm towers down. So I try to strike this. No comm tower Sonya is very sad. Doesn't get the recon kill. And I do not want him to get vision. So I decide to send my copter to kill it. Which means I lose a copter to kill a 1 HP recon. Or you could call it a 6 HP recon if you prefer. Either way, very sad moment for Sonya. I have 3 medium tanks. Hopefully I can knock out the anti-airs with them. But I know Andy also has his own air units. So it might not always work out the way I want it. No! 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 Sonya without a comm tower. Does no damage. I start mech spamming because mechs. They're cheap. I can get them. I could potentially use my black boat to ferry them to the front line quickly, and maybe fight off some tanks on the right side cheaply, considering that I don't think he has a lot of infantry on the right side. Kills off this copter, which I sent in to finish off an infantry, I believe. And well, it's pretty much over, but I do what I can. Try to get this comm tower back. I consider using my anti-air to block it a little, but there's always openings he can find. He could just sit on this mountain with the... I didn't know the infantry was here, but I should not count on him not having vision. So I now have my copter swarm and my bomber. He goes in. Neo tank strikes my medium tank. Even if I had my comm tower, Neo tanks on a road will still beat medium tanks on a city. Especially Andy Neo tanks. He uses hyper repair. This time it's mostly for the damage and movement boost. Anti-air goes in, spots this medium tank. Kills off my medium tank, and just starts attacking overall. The tank gets a vision of these 2 tiles, and he strikes and finishes off my infantry on this side. And at this point, there's no way for my bomber to reach the Neo tank, not that it can kill it. I use my counter break one final time, and resign. That's it. Sonya just can't beat Andy. But at the same time, I definitely did enjoy this game. Mostly for this Neo tank kill over here. And even if I'm playing Andy, I probably would have copter spammed, but maybe I would have transitioned more to bombers earlier. Either way, the game is... As much fun as this Neo tank was, I think ultimately it doesn't really achieve much, because losing 2 copters to the anti-air is approximately the same value as the Neo tank. And I used my super for this attack. But it was a fun move. It was a fun thing to do. I enjoyed killing the Neo tank because it was funny. That's all the justification I really need. But that was this game. I think I can have I think I have time to make 2 more videos before I go back to college. So the next video will be me stream sniping once again on a different streamer. And maybe one more something. I'm not sure what that it should be. But yeah, that's it for now. Goodbye. Goodbye.